You can debug Gramex using a Python debugger. And there are many ways to start the debugger, but let me show you a few. One of the ways is to press Control D on the browser at any point. Let's show you how that works. I'm going to run Gramex on this simple application, which generates random numbers. We have a function handler that calls yourmodule.run, and the run function returns a random number between 10 and 20. So let's press Control B to open that, and we keep reloading. It keeps giving us different numbers. Now at any point, I can press Control D, D for debug. And when I do that, it starts a debugger. This is an IPython debugger. I'll tell you a little more about how you can use this in a few seconds. But when this debugger is available, I can inspect the internals of Gramex. For example, I can import Gramex, look at gramex.service.cache. What are all the cache variables that are available in Gramex? And there's a whole bunch of them. What are the cache keys that I have? Let's say I convert that into a list. Or I can import, let's say, psutil and identify the memory usage of the process. Effectively, this gives me a window to inspect what's happening in Gramex while the application is halted. At this point, I've pressed reload and it's trying to reload, but it's really stuck at this point. I've halted the application and I'm inspecting the internals of Gramex midway. To continue, I can type C and it will continue. Now at this point, the request is finished and I can keep reloading it. I can again press Ctrl D at any point to inspect the variables. So if I had a global variable, let's say import your module. And now in your module, I have the function run. So if I said your module dot run, open bracket, something, close bracket, let's say something like this will actually give me the results. And if I press continue, then Gramex will continue here. This is one way of entering the debugger. That's by pressing Control D on the console. And that's item number 2 here. But another way is, supposing you want to start the debugger exactly when this function runs. You can say import ipdb and ipdb.set_trace. When you add this, anytime this piece of code gets executed, specifically the ipdb.setTrace, it starts the debugger. Let's do that. I'm going to reload and it's still loading, but you'll see that it's come into this function. So out here, I can say L. It shows me the listing of the files and it shows me what I'm going to execute next. All of the debugger commands can be used here. So here are the useful debugger commands that I've found. C continues running the program. So if I press C, it's just going to return the result and I get whatever is the new number. Let's reload. It's come back to the debugger again. I can say pp a particular value. So if I said pp, what is the handler, what is the value that was passed, then I have a function handler object. If I said pretty print something else, let's say, what else is available? A random dot randint. It gives me the details of anything. I could also use p instead of pp. And the only difference is it won't be pretty printing it. It'll just be printing the actual value. I can also run any arbitrary Python code in the current context by typing exclamation. So I'm not going to show you that. We can add breakpoints at a specific location. We can, in a different file on a specific line, we can clear breakpoints. We can step into the next line, or we can just run the next line. N in particular is very useful. You can just keep typing n, n, n. So let's in fact do that. I'm going to press continue, change this function to say x is equal to 10, y is equal to 20, and a randint between x and y. And now if we reload this, it's going to execute x is equal to 10, I type n. It's going to execute y is equal to 20, I type n. And now it's going to execute random.randint, I type n. And now it's going to return it, I type n. And now it's gone up one level. I just say continue. It continues and gives me a new random value. You can also type H to L to list the code and H to list available commands. So let's type H and you'll see that it has many more commands than the ones that I've listed. There are extensive resources available on the Python debugger explaining how you could use this. But Putting in an IPDB import and an IPDB.setTrace is a very powerful way to figure out what exactly is going wrong in your code. There are a few other ways of getting here, but I would strongly recommend you use the IPDB.setTrace method to figure out what is the problem in any specific code that you may have.